Hello to everyone and welcome to the new face of vocational rehabilitation, HireAbility Vermont workshop today. All of our workshops, including previous ones, are recorded and can be watched on the VFN YouTube channel. The link is on our website, which is familynetwork.org. Everyone who's registered for today's workshop will receive a follow-up email with a link to this recording and a PDF of the presentation with the live links on it. So, Vermont Family Network, we've been serving families of children with special health needs and disabilities and the professionals who serve them for more than 30 years. We are the federally designated Parent Training Information Center, the Family to Family Health Information Center, and the Vermont chapter of both Family Voices and Parent to Parent USA. So a little housekeeping. Today's workshop is being recorded, so please keep that in mind as you share information about your situation. This session will include live captions. If you want to turn them on, click on live transcripts, then show subtitle. If you're welcome to turn on your camera. You can ask questions during the chat box, and we'll save time at the end of the presentation to answer questions. Please feel free to share information, links to resources that you have found helpful in the chat as well. We know that we can all learn a lot from each other. So today I would like to welcome our presenters. We have Diane Delmas, Division Director, HireAbility Vermont, Hibbard, Field Service Manager, HireAbility Vermont, and Tara Howe, Transition Program Manager, HireAbility Vermont.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm going to share my screen. My name is Tara Howe. I'm the Transition Program Manager from HireAbility Vermont. I'm just going to share my screen briefly, and then I'm going to hand it over to Diane. But let me just do that. Hold on one moment. So we're very excited to join you today for talking about our new name, HireAbility Vermont. And I'm going to hand it right over to Diane. And I'm going to stop sharing too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diane Delmas. I am the Director of HireAbility Vermont. And I'm going to talk very briefly about why we made this change. We embarked on this journey about a year ago. We really came to the conclusion that it was time for us to think about a serious rebranding effort. And we came to that conclusion for a number of reasons. For those of you who don't know, vocational rehabilitation has been around since World War I. It was created basically to serve returning veterans. And so the name vocational rehabilitation is very old and dated. And we've been getting feedback for quite a while that rehabilitation, the word in particular, just does not resonate with youth in particular, I think for lots of people. But rehabilitation has a connotation or more than one that makes you sort of say, I don't need rehabilitation. Don't refer me there. And so I think we really wanted to come up with an identity that would resonate with youth, with adults, and also, very importantly, for employers. The other thing that happened in our world, which I think was a key reason for this change, was the federal law that governs vocational rehabilitation dramatically changed in 2014 with the passage of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. we had been held federally accountable for a set of indicators that really focused on quantity. How many people did we help to get a job? You know, without any real definition of the job itself. And so we did a really great job of helping people with disabilities obtain employment. We were #1 in the nation for years per capita for that work. When WIOA passed, what we were now being held accountable for was a set of common performance measures, which moved us in a very different direction, away from quantity to quality. The common performance measures look at median earnings, job retention, credential attainment, measurable skills gains, acquisitions, employer satisfaction. So what we were hearing, and 80% of our funding comes from the federal government. So we were getting a very strong message that not only were we to help people obtain employment, but we were really responsible to help people obtain quality employment and to take that a step further, to have a career. And so over the last probably 4 years plus, we have been focused on a major paradigm shift within our service delivery system to move from a quantitative approach to helping as many people as possible get a job, entry level or otherwise, to helping people have a career pathway and engaging with us to think aspirationally about their dream job. And we think that that's especially important for youth and young adults. So we've been working with an entity called The Place Creative, a marketing firm out of Burlington. We've been super pleased with their work to date, and we came up with a rebrand, a new name, a new look and feel, and a new message. And so we began that launch. That rollout started March 1st. We've held meetings with our external partners, meetings like this, to really explain our journey and where we're headed. And so that's what you're going to hear over the course of the next half hour or so. And we couldn't be more excited. And the feedback to date has just been overwhelmingly positive. So we've focused on 3 target audiences: youth and young adults, and employers. And so we've developed materials that you're going to see very specifically for youth and their families and school personnel and employers in terms of hiring youth and young adults. So I think at this point, I'm going to pass it on to Hibbard, who is going to explain where we started, where we are, and share a number of the new broadcast commercials and our new website, which we're also very excited about. So it's all yours, Hib.
Great. Thank you, Diane. Thanks very much. So as Diane mentioned, we've been working with The Place Creative, which is a marketing firm out of Burlington. And we wanted to focus on those 3 groups that Diane talked about: adults, employers, and youth. And so the first thing we did was to have focus groups, targeted focus groups with those populations, to kind of really get clear about what VocRehab was about, right? What were our services about? What were our mission? What were the perceptions about our services? And yeah, what we did get out of that was that the term rehabilitation was a term that didn't resonate with folks. It has different connotations. People that are, recovering from substance use issues or disorder, people talk about, rehab in that context. And we've had folks say, we might say, oh, hey, vocational rehabilitation might be a great service for you, and have the person say, oh, I I don't really need any rehab in my life right now, or whatever their situation was. And so we wanted to get away from that. So what the place helped us to do is to kind of think about what would be a new brand if we were looking to do something different. And so they offered up some other names that we might be, and how that particular brand would be kind of marketed if we went down that road. And in the end, as we kind of bounced these different possible brands with our constituents, what we decided to come up with was HireAbility Vermont. Really seemed to kind of resonate best with everybody. And so we kind of went forward with that. The next piece was really to try to figure out what type of materials we might need to use to kind of reach these population groups. And so we came up with some beautiful, the website, as Diane mentioned, which came out great, and I'll take you through some of that. We also mentioned the broadcast videos. So right now on channel 3, 5, and 22, there are these broadcast videos are going out. Also online, there are also these broadcast videos that are happening. I'll show you a couple of those. So getting the word out there about HireAbility and what our services are about. We also have developed a lot of digital and print materials for all different populations, including youth and parents, school staff, so that we can kind of provide those about our services. And they all have a really nice, fresh look. All our materials have pictures of our consumers who are willing to have their pictures out there, as well as quotes, which are very nice about our services, and also stories. We have a lot of stories on our website. So that's all part of getting the word out about our services. And then finally, as we mentioned as well, we're doing starting the first part of March, we're doing this media launch where we're really trying to get the word out there about our services. So forums like this one and others we've been doing right along. So it's just a great opportunity for us to kind of be in front of you to kind of talk about these services. So that's kind of how we got here. But let me, what I can do is I'll share my screen and I can show us maybe a couple of those broadcast spots to start, just so you can get an idea of just where we're trying to go with this and what message we're trying to convey about our services. So this first spot is one of our counselors from Burlington, Eric, and a consumer of ours who is somebody who got services from us. He'll describe them a little bit, but just a really nice story in a really short kind of 60-second or 30-second spot.
I found out about HireAbility when I was applying for CCV. I've been dealing with depression and anxiety and stress, and I was just constantly wondering, how am I going to pay for this?
A lot of students come to us for a lot of different reasons. In Amisi's case, it took a load off his shoulders as far as the worry.
I wouldn't have been able to attend school if it wasn't for HireAbility.
And away he goes. He's off doing well in school and working at a great job.
HireAbility Vermont, providing free career counseling to Vermonters with disabilities.
I found out about HireAbility.
And then this next video is one of our counselors talking to a gentleman who we worked with as part of our summer career exploration program.
Dakota came to me seeking employment and help overcoming barriers. So Dakota and I worked together to figure out what placement would be best for him. For a couple of weeks, he did maintenance work, and then he rotated to custodial work.
Yeah, she helps me a lot with working a lot with other people. HireAbility is helping me get the job.
He was a true natural leader.
HireAbility Vermont, providing free career counseling to Vermonters with disabilities.
This next video is
Dearest reader, it has been said that competition.
Sometimes YouTube has a life of its own here. This next video is from our summer career exploration program, which was an opportunity for us to, let's see. But here I might, well, I'm going to show this. This came up. This is we did an animated video as well for youth, and I'll show this because it just popped up here. So let me show this to you.
Of opportunity after high school, but sometimes it's hard to know where to start. That's where HireAbility Vermont comes in, providing career counseling to fit your goals, helping you to navigate your path and discover your dream job. Build your future by exploring careers and training opportunities, gaining work experience, and developing job and life skills. Working with HireAbility is 100% voluntary. It's your program, set at your pace, designed to meet your goals. Ready to take the next step on your journey? Visit HireAbilityVT.com.
All right. And I got one more. I'm going to stop sharing here real quick. This next video is, I'll pull up here, is from our, it's a overview of kind of our transition program videos, and let me pull it up for us. And yeah, and this was filmed up at North Country High School. Lauren Dillon was our transition counselor there, and she's working with Shawna, and just a great short video about how our transition services work. And this is really targeted towards staff and parents about our services.
Shawna was one of these little quiet, mice that I got as an incoming 9th grader.
Shawna's biggest barrier in disability was her anxiety. So very worried about attempting new things, trying new things, even meeting new people.
Given that she had anxiety, she qualified for the HireAbility program, which at that time we didn't know a lot about what it offered.
HireAbility provides opportunities that a lot of students don't have just in school. It builds connections with the schools that we work with, collaboration, and provides that next level of support, addressing them and connecting them to communities for work.
I got referred to HireAbility through Amy Pickering, my guidance counselor. When I first met Lauren, she was in the library here at my school. We sat down and figured out a plan. We wrote down all of my goals and ambitions and broke them down into little small goals, what could be achievable.
It's all individualized, so their goals, their plan, it's for them. They're in the driver's seat.
Shawna working with HireAbility has shown us a tremendous amount of growth. She's become the person that she wanted to be.
I think HireAbility has helped her build her confidence. I think that they have helped to identify some roles that she might be interested in after high school, for sure.
Through HireAbility, I've had a lot of job shadowing, job opportunities, paid work experiences. That's something that they do that I'm really thankful for.
A resource like HireAbility is absolutely invaluable to us in our community because kids are getting resources that they might not otherwise be getting from their families because the resources are just not there.
I'm so happy that HireAbility has pushed me to come this far, and I'm glad that Mrs. Pickering led me into that because I would not be where I am today without HireAbility. They're just such an amazing, supportive group.
And then I think we want to look at the website a little bit here, so I'll pull that up.
Yeah, but you're doing that. Do you mind if I talk a little bit about our transition counselors?
Sure.
Jump right in while you're doing that. So you're probably wondering, so what does this look like in terms of getting connected to HireAbility Vermont? So we want to make sure we provided that information. So we have 26 transition counselors who serve as young as 14 in high school, all the way through the age of 24. And we're really excited about this because this is kind of a recent shift that we've made. We really believe that for a youth, it's all about that relationship, right? And so being able to connect with somebody in high school and be able to work with that same person as they make that transition to life after high school, whatever that might be, whether it's employment, additional education and training, combination of both, as they figure that out, that we can help support them. And we're really excited about this too. I know we've heard from schools, we've heard from students that, you know, originally that VocRehab Vermont was sometimes something that they were like, I'm not quite so sure about. So we feel like it's going to help. It's only going to help this kind of establishment of a strong relationship to be able to support them in this process. And I'll let Hib show you a little bit more about the website.
Thanks, Tara. Yeah, so this is our new website, HireAbilityVT.com or HireAbilityVermont spelled out.com. And it is an official state website up here. Across the top, you see we get adult, youth, employers. We talked about our target audiences. It's got stories here, again, about our services. And then if folks are interested in contacting us, they can click either of these buttons here, and they can fill out a quick form online and send it to us, and we can kind of reach out to them. And we've already had several people reach out to us this way, which we haven't had capacity in the past for something like this. And it's just been a wonderful interactive way for us to kind of be able to connect with new participants. So I'll click the youth tab here. So as Diane mentioned, you know, we really want to ask the question, right? Discover your dream job. And we love this image here with the arrow and the 2 feet, you know, kind of showing movement, a direction, people going forward. And then talks about where to start, who's eligible, talks about our programs and services. That animated video that I showed is kind of embedded in here, so folks can watch that if they want to watch that. We're hoping that might pull in that target audience as well, demystify us a little bit, make us seem a little less, scary as a state program. Again, we've got these get started buttons so folks can kind of get started. Click in here if they're interested. River Plouffe was a consumer of ours who, you know, was willing to kind of put a quote up here and have his picture. HireAbility Vermont really helps me with my experience in helping along the way so I can have a much better experience with my job and get to learn the process as well. So very nice. How do I start? You know, so people always want to have those questions like where do we start? What to expect? You know, we're going to help you explore jobs and careers, participate in work-based learning experiences, all those kind of things. Post-secondary education, who's eligible? You know, how am I eligible? What do I need to know there? So it talks about the eligibility criteria, which are pretty simple, right? Folks receiving special ed services, or if they're on a 504 plan or even eligible for a 504 plan. Talks a little bit about Vermont Youth Who Are Blind, what the connection is there for them. Again, locate a HireAbility Vermont Youth Transition Counselor, so they can click on here if they're not sure which high school that the counselor might be affiliated with. So that'll pull that up so they can look and see who that counselor might be. Down here are some youth specific services, our AT program, and they can click on here and learn more about assistive technology and how that works, how we can provide those type of supports for students that are in school or young adults out of school. We provide career counseling for folks who are deaf and hard of hearing. It's a service you might, some folks might require, and so we're there for those people. I mentioned that summer career exploration program. Before we're done here, I'll pull that video up so we can kind of watch that too. But we're last summer, we worked with 150 youth statewide with about 110 employers and really offered these youth the opportunity to, for many of them, try out their first job ever. And we all know like how important it is for young folks to kind of get started with a job. It really has great implications for them long-term in terms of working and moving forward with success in a career. So this summer we'll be doing that again, and we're really, really excited about that program. So this link explains what that program is there for them as well. Link on here to are you a parent or guardian? Learn more about how we can help prepare a student or young person to transition to life after high school. It's a story here about Dylan talking about his transition from school to a job, and can click on Dylan's story here as well to kind of just look at that. So this is just kind of one page of our website, with a lot of information here. Really would encourage you to kind of, when you get a chance, to check it out. And I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the chat too. So if you want to click on that, you'll have the link to kind of be able to go and do that.
All right. So I think most of what we wanted to talk to you about, I think we've already gone over. I think that there were a couple questions that had been sent ahead of time, just kind of asking about working with high school students. Absolutely, we work with high school students. We have connections with the high schools across the state. The counselors often are either meeting virtually or going into the school and connecting with students that way. That's actually primarily how we get a lot of referrals and how people find out about us. We're hoping to continue to spread the word, especially with our beautiful new name, and that people will be more open to finding out more. And I think maybe, Martha, we start doing some questions. What do you think?
Sure. I think it's a great idea. There was another question sent in, and I'll read it out. And I'll also say there were comments that were in the chat box. I don't know if you got to see. Great video. Thank you. They were wonderful. Those are just some of the comments. And I invite our viewers to please add more questions to the chat. But one of the questions we had in advance was, having accessibility jobs throughout Vermont is a must. Can VocRehab partner with the Vermont Department of Labor? And this came from an individual with a disability. So I don't know who would like to answer that. Hibbard, Tara?
I mean, I can take a stab at it.
Thanks, Diane.
We've partnered with the Department of Labor, both at a statewide level and a local level, for many, many years. And particularly when we implemented creative workforce solutions in, I think, 2009, we were bringing together all the entities in a community that focused on developing jobs for people. And we very much worked with the Department of Labor around those at that time, and we are today. So, there are strong connections between Department of Labor staff and VocRehab staff in all of our 12 districts. And we blend and braid funding for mutual clients, and we make cross referrals all the time. And we've, in some cases, sort of co-sponsored various projects across the state as well. So, Hib, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Diane. Their successes are our successes. So, like we could be working in tandem with somebody, and, they have outcomes, we have outcomes, and, we can both achieve what we're looking to achieve with our consumers to kind of help them move forward. So, very strong partnerships in the districts across the state. And as Diane said, there's, we just do better teaming our consumers with labor and them with us, that we get referrals that go back and forth to kind of help people move forward. So a really strong partnership and an important one for us.
We are co-located in some districts, and we're working on becoming co-located in other districts. So that would make it even more seamless for people seeking both services.
Right. And in most buildings in the state too, state office buildings, labor is either located in the same building or not very far away. So yeah, it's also the case.
Great. So we have a few other questions coming up in the chat. The next question is, what advice do you give to families with children with disabilities who want to connect with you, but thus far, this hasn't been offered by their school? Is there an age limit for connecting when in high school?
Okay, so I'm going to actually do the second one first. So anybody who's in high school, so that 14 to 21, absolutely. Even if they are, I think there's some situations where they might have, because of the pandemic, stay even a little bit longer, we can still serve them. That does not, the age does not matter in terms of the other end of that. We're happy to serve them. And then the question about how to get connected. So there's a couple of ways. I mean, like I said, we do primarily get referrals from schools. That doesn't mean that's the only way that we get referrals. You are welcome to reach out. I'm happy to be that conduit. Or you can use the website, whichever way you're most comfortable with. As you know, on the transition plan, there is a question about inviting outside agencies, and we are often on that list. So there's a lot of different ways. We do usually, when a parent reaches out to us, we do usually circle back with the school to work in collaboration so that we're not confusing things at all, that we're working truly together and making it as smooth as possible.
Thank you. Next question. How do you apply for the summer career program?
So we are currently in the process of recruiting. The way that we always want to make sure that the services that we're providing are a good fit. And so we're in the process of having individuals that we've met apply for the program. And we're actually, because we need to have the time in order to be able to establish those relationships with the businesses that are a good fit based on their career interests, we'll be closing that as of April 1st. If you're interested in learning more, please again, reach out to me and I can connect you.
Thank you. Another question. Some families wonder if they can get funding for tuition or other supports for students to take the next step after high school. What type of supports might be available?
Good question. Diane, do you want to start that and then I'll jump in after that?
I can. We really, one thing that I didn't perhaps stress enough in my introduction is that part of our new focus is really on assisting our customers, youth and adults, to obtain credentials that will lead them into higher wage employment. And so we have dramatically expanded our focus on assisting our customers to engage in education and training programs that lead to recognized industry credentials. And so there is certainly funding available for students who are going on to those kinds of programs from us. And so we're happy to work with the student and the family around, again, vocational goals and thinking about jobs for the future and, really identifying a career pathway for that individual. I think that we really see this as social justice work, if you will, that so many people with disabilities live in poverty for the most part. And so our mission in our new paradigm is really to help people move beyond entry-level employment. They may need to start there, maybe not, but we want to develop the next steps. What's the career path? What is going to enable them to make a livable and beyond wage? And we're already seeing, fairly dramatic success stories with people, in this case, I think mostly adults who've done, entry-level work for many years, and we've helped them obtain a credential that's enabled them to obtain work that they've always dreamt about doing, that's going to pay them a really decent salary. So I guess the bottom line is we're very focused on post-high school education and training and credential attainment. Anything you want to add to that, Tara?
And with that, all the support to kind of help make sure that that is successful, that transition from high school in the IDEA to ADA world is pretty significant. And so we've spent a lot of time too looking at different ways on how we can best support students in that process. So we have a program, College Compass, which is actually through College Steps. You may have heard of College Steps. That is at Castleton, Linden, Johnson, and then at 2 of the CCV sites right now. Because what we also want to do is make sure, because we have seen situations in which an individual starts a post-secondary program and it doesn't go well because maybe they didn't access the supports they need. Maybe they didn't know how to access those supports. So we also really want to look at that to make sure that transition, they know who to reach, and come from that perspective too of helping them learn the skills. Not that we do that for them by any means, but help them get connected so that they are accessing those natural supports.
So Tara, if someone wants to access the College Compass program, they would have to be they would have had to have already gotten in touch with VocRehab, correct? Because it's a program through VocRehab. How would folks know more about that? I think families would like to hear more about that. There's lots of students who need a little bit extra support, and it's a great program.
So those that are served through College Compass are, yes, they are part of HireAbility Vermont. They are a customer of ours. So they would need to be connected and then go through that process through there. So again, if you're interested, I think the first step is always connecting with the counselor in your area to be able to kind of talk a little bit more about what services. Again, we really want to be thoughtful about what's the best fit and what's, what does that process look like? And so be able to really make it individualized to whoever we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Which might be College Compass. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that, just going back a little bit to providing supports, I think one of the things that we've also done is we've changed our caseloads a little bit. And in the past, our transition counselors worked with folks up till 18 or up till when they graduated or a little beyond. But we've switched this up to kind of continue to work with folks up to at least age 24. So we can kind of provide that continuity of services. So if someone gets engaged with a transition counselor in high school, they can work with that person. And then as they're looking to kind of move to the next thing after high school, they're going to continue with that VocRehab counselor as they go forward, which we think is going to be an important step to making sure we ensure that things go as smoothly as they possibly can as folks move through that transition from high school to adulthood.
Thank you, Hib.
Mm-hmm.
It looks as though we have one more question, unless folks want to put more questions. Oh, some just I spoke too soon. So this is, I'll give this question, then we'll go to the next one. Are you offering in person now or still remote? That's the first question.
Both.
Both?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next question would be, could a 30-year-old with a disability reach out for help in getting a better job? She has a bachelor's degree and certifications, but because of the difficulty with social communication, she's really underemployed. The interview is always a barrier. Or would she just be considered all set because she already has a job and benefits? Do you have direct connections to employers that might help her, that might help bridge the interview gap?
I think all three of us would love to answer that, but I'm going to hand that to Diane.
Everybody's nodding. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We assist people with people who are underemployed, people with career advancement. We have a whole infrastructure of employment staff, mostly through VABER, if people have heard of VABER before, the Vermont Association of Business, Industry and Rehabilitation. We have business account managers in each of our districts whose whole job is to open employer doors. We have employment consultants who carry, or serve 30, 40 customers around job development and job placement efforts. We would welcome this type of person. So please have her apply.
Yeah, go to the website and click on the link to get started. And I would say too that, the whole, somebody's on talking about the interview or resume or that kind of a thing, that, one of our goals is to have really great relationships with our employer community and to just, because sometimes folks with disabilities, they have big gaps on their resume, or maybe they don't have the same amount of experience around an interview or whatever, but we want to have that kind of connection with an employer where we can call up or email or Teams chat or whatever and just say, hey, we've got a great candidate for you. We know what you're looking for in a person, and this person really is going to match what you need. And so we can kind of make that transition as smooth as we can make it to help people to kind of get through those hurdles sometimes that keep people out.
Thank you, Hib. So we have one more question. How does HireAbility work with designated agencies with individuals who need supported employment?
Hib, go ahead. I'll chime in.
All right. I mean, we have strong relationships with all the designated agencies in the state to provide employment services, both on the CRT, chronic rehabilitation treatment, folks with chronic mental illness, folks with developmental disabilities, also youth with emotional, behavioral, mental health kind of issues through our Jump on Board for Success programs. We have liaison counselors in all the offices that work closely with each one of those populations to just provide every kind of support we can provide to help them to kind of achieve whatever goals they might want to achieve as consumers for our services. Diane, I don't know.
I think I would just add that those programs are represented on our now HireAbility workforce teams. And so they get support and services from the business account managers in terms of those BAMs, we call them, their relationships with employers in the local communities. So we try to all work together.
Thank you. So I think that's wrapping up all of our questions, unless anyone has another one pop into the chat or they'd like to unmute.
I wonder if we can close out Hib with that summer video.
Yeah,
That'd be a great way to close this.
Yeah, good idea.
I was going to say,
but don't leave after the video. I have something to add, but go ahead.
I got it all queued up and ready to go. Of course, I said that before and it didn't exactly go how I planned.
The program here at Killington Resort is a great opportunity for the students to learn these life skills.
They really get a chance to see, I can do this. I can get a job and I can really put out quality work that I'm proud of.
It gives them the customer service and people skills that they're going to need no matter where they go, and essentially just setting them up for the future to be successful.
This is my first job. It's been going really well. I'm learning a lot of different things.
The cutting skills that I learned here, I think it will help me in the future be able to maybe become a chef or a baker.
I just like working with people, and I learned how to communicate better.
So the classroom session is really beneficial.
We normally, talk about our highs and lows and what we can learn from each other. So who would like to go first?
We talk about safety, how to be professional.
We talk about the stuff we've learned and new stuff that we're learning.
It's been a great experience. I've seen students go from being shy to wanting to be hands-on and take the lead. It puts a smile on your face to see them just changing and becoming such amazing people.
Thank you, Hib. That was great. Great way to end our webinar. Thank you so much. So to everyone who's on our webinar, I want everyone to know, we popped in the chat that everyone who's registered for today's workshop will receive a link, an email with a link to the recording. Please do take a few minutes to complete the survey so we can make improvements and fulfill our grant requirements. The link is right there. It's important that we get those surveys back, so it really helps us provide more webinars and information for folks and meets them where they're at. There are lots of other great workshops coming up, so please stay tuned. And I'd like to thank all of our presenters today for an excellent webinar. You really highlighted all the wonderful changes, and it's very exciting, and I'm glad we can share this with families and professionals. So thank you everyone today for coming. And have a great day. Look for the email that'll be coming in your mailbox.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.